Thank you.
Thank you, Shemaine. Wow. Thank you, music team. Thank you to everyone who is responsible for this service coming together and consenting to allow me to be here in the front again. It's always a surprise. I am so thankful that I get to sit in this chair often, and I think we should add another chair so that we can rotate into that and everybody can just see this service unfold and what creates it and how it's given and how it's received. And just to feel the love. Are you feeling it out there? Yeah? Yeah, it just gets magnified up here to where I can even feel it, and it's nice. It has been said by Ernest Holmes again. He said, "It has been said that we can know God only insofar as we can become God." And we meet together to do our practices and increase our understanding and join each other in learning to explore this thing called God, this thing called us, thing called you. And so this month, and I'm glad it's a month with 5 weeks, we are going to deepen our relationship with Spirit by recognizing and celebrating the divine feminine as an integral attribute of all the creators we call God. Now that may seem a little off, it may seem a little avant-garde, may seem a little forward-thinking, because most of us were raised in cultures and traditions where we were taught that God is a man, and that God manifests as a man, and that sometimes, even in extremes, men have a closer access to God. Lately, we see that changing a little bit, and it seems over the last 50 years, God has found new thought, and she's had gender-affirming surgery. and we welcome this new manifestation of God to us. And some of that is true, and some of that is clearly not true. God is not a man. God is not a woman. But it is, because there are men and women here appearing as God, but it is deeper and richer than that. We do make God in our own image, but as our consciousness and understanding awakens and we become more aware, we're more aware of that which is God. And taking down those barriers helps us find those aspects of God in us. And that's what we're doing today, because when we talk about divine feminine energy, we're talking about something that goes way beyond gender. It is the givingness of spirit to itself. It is the nurturing of spirit to the one that it loves. Honoring the feminine in God is to honor it in ourselves and readily appreciate the God in others. Utilizing this gift nurtures our soul's development and reveals our spiritual magnificence. The only one in the way of me and my spiritual magnificence is a little voice that lives up here. It's not the voice from here, but it's the voice up here. And sometimes it has company. And there is nothing you need to do to be spiritually magnificent. There's nothing you need to be. There's no specific talent that will let you know when you got there. It's these blocks that have been placed in there by us to protect ourselves, or they're the ones that just come in innocently through teaching as a child, through teaching of our culture. And so we were raised believing that God is a man. But this isn't a new thing to say God is a woman. God has always been a man and a woman, or to say masculine and feminine. Most cultures, and even today many cultures, are pantheistic, and they have more than one God. And so we take these ideals and these powers that belong to our higher self, and we assign them out to a God, a deity, and a being. And that created a little separation. It created a great understanding of God. Like in Greece, they had the goddess Aphrodite, who became in Rome the goddess Venus. And they are the representation of beauty, love, pleasure, and passion. And that was assigned to this one individual deity of God, the goddess. The Hebrews took a different approach. And this is the culture that we were raised in, a lot of us, the Judeo-Christian culture. It starts with the Hebrews, and they said, we see God as one. All these attributes of God, from the God of strength, the God who provides, the God who protects, the God who nurtures, the goddess of beauty, the goddess of love, as one God. And we worship them as one. And they did, but they had a little thing they did with that, and they used different words when they spoke about God. And so in different places, they would speak of God as a man, or in the masculine form. And El is the Hebrew word for the man God. Eloah is a goddess, is a female God. And Elohim is a really interesting word, even in the Hebrew language, as it is masculine, feminine, and plural. And the first verse of the Bible, it's written, in the beginning, the Elohim created heaven and earth. The gods, more than one, male and female, created heaven and earth. Now this is, you might laugh, but it's a real thing. And I've heard this translated in the past by a group and a minister of another faith, that these beings were both man and woman, that they had both of those traits, that they had those sex organs, that they were hermaphrodites, and that they had everything. We don't say that or suggest that. But what we do know is that these beings were whole and complete, and that there are two energies in the universe that originate from the one. And we talked about the first thing that a cell does, or something that is whole and complete does to reproduce itself and grow, is to split into two. And when this power started creating, it split into a masculine and a feminine side. And the beings that came forward and the beings they created were masculine and feminine. Ernest Holmes wrote about this in 1926 in the original Science of Mind under the section Male and Female. Mankind, coming from unity, is both male and female, and has within each of them both attributes of reality. In some, the male predominates. In others, the female. We have two distinct types in man and woman, but they are types of one fundamental principle most equally balanced. The greatest men and women of the ages have belonged to this type, for it is a more complete balance between the two, which are really one. And that's what we're exploring in this month of Divine Feminine, is opening that up in us, allowing God to have those traits, and seeing that in God, we see it in us and we can express it to each other. I kind of miss our Roman and Greek gods. Because in the separation, with the Hebrews said we're going to create one God, and they did, but they referred to it in different ways. As the Bible was translated, all of those pronouns and words translated into English as God. And they were joined with masculine pronouns of he and him, which were the inclusive terms of the time. In Old English, they referred to males, men, as wers, and females, women, as wifs. And if they said man, or he and him, in the context of man, that was mankind. Over time, that diminished and got away from us. And with the passing of that and the passing of the word, there was nothing in there to convey that separation and that difference to us. And so God became a man with man-like qualities, man-like patience, man-like anger. And I think it might be a good thing to return just in a little bit, not today, but to our Greek gods, to the Roman gods, because the goddess Aphrodite is the goddess of beauty, of pleasure, of passion, and love. Oh, but she was a jealous thing too. Yeah. Fiery. She had a great capacity for all emotions, and the one that were celebrated and adored was the beauty and the passion and the love. But vengeful, spiteful, she did not like not having the attention and not being worshipped, and that she would have to share that with other gods. And I think if we looked at our gods that way, as having their strengths and their weaknesses, it would empower us a lot to show up as God and to see the God in everyone else. Viewing God as a man, we lose sight of all that God is. To associate the masculine and feminine energies as specific to male and female genders is to limit our belief of who we are and what we are becoming. As individualized expressions of the one, we inherently hold all the potential and power of God. God is androgynous, having both masculine and feminine power, energy, and abilities. As beings of light, we accept the nature of God as our own. Regardless of our understandings or the limitations that we put on the being God, the source, the power, the light, and the love, regardless of our limitations, God is and continues to be. Our definitions and characterizations will never constrict the true nature of being God. The limits we place on God are limits we place on ourselves. And by understanding the nature of God, we see those aspects in ourselves and others until we are fully immersed in the oneness that we are, first here, and then as a community, and then as a world. Bringing balance to our view of God enriches our lives. We have all experienced times when our growth in good comes to us through our masculine qualities, where we actively assert our intention in the world, and at other times by our feminine qualities of being open, of being receptive, and being nurturing. The divine feminine and sacred masculine flow through everyone, and to the extent we exercise both, our lives become richer, and we grow in our power to create ourselves and our world. As our practitioners are coming up, we'll start our wall of prayer, and I want you to think that when we create, we tend to our creation as a mother and a father. A child needs both influences of this power, regardless of the gender of the person. They need both of these energies to flourish and thrive. We are the creators of our evolving world, and our world is crying for love, nurturing, and understanding. By honoring the feminine as divine and allowing God to have these traits, we can heal ourselves and heal the world. Speaking His voice for all of us. I'm knowing the truth that there is one life. That life is full and complete. And I acknowledge and accept that of all the miracles I have witnessed in this life, the greatest one is the one I do not see, and is the one that I am. Speaking in first person, I invite you to take my words as your own. As I explore and appreciate this miracle further, I am the place where the formless has chosen to take form. I am the place where God lives, where it moves and breathes and has its being. Wherever I am, God is. And to the extent I open up those blocks and be, I am whole and complete in that space and time. On the altar of my heart lies a piece of the universe that exists nowhere else but inside of me. And in these times that are sacred and safe, others open their hearts to me as well. And in that space, I feel even richer the fact that we are one. What you hold and keep sacred blesses me, completes me, feeds me and heals me. Parts of myself are missing, and I find them in you. I'm knowing we are supported by this light and love in everything that we do. And I invite you forward at this time to share and celebrate that love with the practitioner. If you have an intention for improvement in your life, share that with them briefly. Tell them what you'd like to see more of. If you want to feel that energy magnified and share it and celebrate with them, share that with them. If you're just overflowing today, come and love on them. They can handle it. As these private prayers are finishing up, I know for myself that half of my heart is proactive and half of my heart is receptive. That I stand in places of vulnerability and unknowing with confidence that the God I am is always with me. That all the energy and power of the universe is mine to restore me and the life around me. I have gifts of healing. I have gifts to nurture. Loving words that come from me are shared in strength. And being beautiful is just a bonus. So grateful for this community we share, for the gifts that you bring by being you. For the love and light that flows to us and through us always. I give gratitude for that. I give gratitude that that love and the law that makes it all so never changes. Knowing that, I can rest in peace. And together we say, and so it is.